Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Dawson County Board of Commissioners budget process. Appreciate everybody that's with us, both here and those that are with us online. We'll go ahead and get started. First up, we have IT. Herman, come on up. And if you would, Herman, kind of talk to us a little bit about your personnel requests, and then we'll move into the budget portion of it, the day-to-day operation.
All right. Well, good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Hopefully I can start y'all off on the right foot, not take up too much time. The org chart that you have in front of you, it's up on the screens as well. This is our most important change this year. This is part of the natural evolution of a IT department in a growing organization. In the org chart, you can see that we're adding a tiered approach to the network staff. This is for redundancy and to cover the existing daily workload. Networking is the most critical and most technologically complex segment of any IT department. This is also where the bulk of the daily work takes place, as well as being our cybersecurity task force. When an anomaly emerges, the network staff investigates and takes appropriate action to keep us safe. So some of the changes that we're doing here, we're adding the position of Network Administrator 2. Our existing Network Administrator is being promoted into that Network 2 position. We're promoting our existing IT technician to the role of Network Administrator 1, okay, because he has advanced quite a bit in networking. We're increasing the base salary of our IT technician from a grade 13 to a grade 16 so that we can attract more applicants. And we're adding the position of administrative assistant. Some of the reasoning behind these changes, our work requests have increased year over year, with the largest increase seen in the last 9 months. In 2025, we are averaging 360 work requests per month. In 2024, for comparison, we were averaging 246 per month. So why the big increase? Well, there are several reasons. With our talent tree, we have been able to assist county departments with more projects and more initiatives. The county is also increasing the number of facilities that the IT department supports. Our county staff as a whole have been being more productive. They're getting more done, so we have more work to do on our side. And we have started to include community outreach to help educate the public on topics such as staying safe while online. This restructure is necessary for our department to be able to maintain the same level of support that the county has shown appreciation for. As a department, when we are down one person, we feel it. And it affects our overall ability to keep the county safe and productive. Our mission as a department is to keep the county safe, up and running, and increase productivity 24/7, 365. I believe that we have been able to accomplish this mission. And these changes, these improvements, will be able to allow us to keep moving forward. Okay, so that's the bulk of the staffing changes that we're going to be making. Any questions on that?
Questions for Herman?
I have a quick question. This may be more for finance. On the position personnel review request for administrative assistant, they requested $18.50 an hour, grade 11, but I see where it is, it says $17.99, grade 11.
Yes, that's the HR recommendation, and that's the base salary for a grade.
That's the existing category.
Yeah, right. So I guess my question is, if this is something that we wanted to put in here, would we do it, decide if we wanted $18.50, or would we go based on the $17.99?
We typically do it based on the
$17.99. Okay, thanks.
Other questions for Herman? So you're asking for administrative assistant, which is a new position, and one new network administrator, two
Correct.
new positions, and then one reclassification. Okay. Other questions for Herman? In reference to your everyday budget, day-to-day budget, any major things you want to bring to the board's attention?
Just a couple.
Okay.
Vehicle maintenance is going from 300 to 600. That's because we have 2 vehicles now as opposed to 1. Telephone is increasing because we have more phones in use and cost has gone up. Our internet is going up significantly. And the main reason behind that is we're adding additional facilities. For example, the new 911 building, we're required to have 2 dedicated internet connections just for that building. In addition to that, education and training, I'm increasing that because IT training is not cheap. And it is an absolute necessity. Technology changes, as we all know, and my people have to stay up on it. Otherwise, we can't support it. So, and that's a modest amount that we're requesting. One of the courses that I myself was looking into in advanced AI is over $25,000. So, I mean, that's out of the realm of possibility. So $4,000 is not a whole lot for an entire department. Also, we increased licenses slightly. That's because some of our license costs are going up, as well as we've increased the number of users for Office 365 and things like that. Also, small equipment is increasing to help cover some of the equipment that we purchase for every department in the county.
Questions?
I know a lot in the private sector, a lot of companies contract out their IT when it comes to help desk support and things like that. And we're looking at adding some more bodies and some more labor costs to support that internally. Have you looked at outsourcing any of the IT help?
Absolutely. And I have been on the the taking over side from companies moving away from that. In most cases, contracted or remote tech support is an absolute nightmare. And I can give you many references for companies that have gone that direction and then moved away from it. I've actually had companies such as that withhold important company information like passwords, IP addresses, stuff that you kind of need in an emergency. They won't provide that information to you. So
We also already do contract out. I know when I've shadowed y'all, we already contract out a company that helps watch things 24 hours. That's
correct. Yeah, that's our cybersecurity partner. And honestly, they do the work of about 3 staff members on average, because we have an average of 1.2 billion events that occur every month on our network.
So even with contracting them out, though, we're still seeing an increased workload, which is why you're requesting these additional people.
Correct. Our people in the county are doing more, and that leads to more cybersecurity incidents. Things like people using VPNs when they're not supposed to, logins from all over the country when people travel, things like that. All sorts of anomalies come up on a daily basis, and it's our network people that run those down.
Herman, in reference to just email load, I know when we switched over to .gov, now I get about 4 times the email, which most of it's junk, than I used to get. Is there a way of fixing that? I mean,
we can, on an individual basis, increase your allow list and deny list.
Okay.
As well as adding categories to it. You do stand the risk whenever we make a change like that of missing some email.
I'll miss a few anyway. I check my junk mail occasionally to make sure that somebody sent me something, but I seem to get stuff from everywhere now. I mean, that
Yeah.
obviously has nothing to do with the county.
Right.
Okay.
And we're missing important emails that have, like we have the Gmail issue,
Sure.
but a bunch of those are still going to junk email.
Right. And excuse me, they will.
Okay.
And that's a good thing. Okay. They should go to junk mail,
Security thing.
and we should just be in the habit of checking our junk mail on a regular basis. What happens
We aren't.
is
Alexa is not. I'm working on it.
what happens with email is that the internet providers, your email servers, things like that, excuse me, work on a tiered approach. Okay. It hits the email server at Microsoft. They do their evaluation of what could be and what is not spam. Then it goes to another level and then to another level. And when we open it completely up, you're going to get every single email. Okay, whether it's a phishing email, whether it's spam, or whether it's a good email. When we start to reduce that back, that's when you start seeing the possibility of missing an email, which is something we don't want y'all to do. So we can change that.
Okay.
But in doing so, you do run the risk of missing an email.
Check your junk email more often.
I do have one more question. I had asked Chandler if we were ever going to go to using something like Teams, like network wide.
Yes.
And he said that was something that you guys were looking into. Is that something that could potentially roll out in 2026? Does this budget?
Actually, we've been trying to roll it out since 23.
Oh, okay.
We've been trying to show directors and departments the benefits of using Teams.
Yeah.
In fact, last year during our budget process, we worked with the finance department to use Teams for departments to be able to submit all their requests and paperwork as kind of an initiative to try and get people used to using Teams, because Teams, when used correctly and used a lot within a department, can be a great resource.
Yeah. At my job, we use Teams and Slack, and they both have proven to be really good so far. So that's what got the conversation going. He said that you guys had already been working on that.
Oh, yeah.
So
And like I said, we're trying to push it
okay.
and educate. And we've offered departments that we'll come in there, we'll sit down with you and your people, and we'll show you how Teams can be a benefit to you.
Okay. So it's just a matter of when departments are ready to take that on.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Other questions for Herman? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Park and Rec is up next. Matt, come on up. Matt, start us off with your capital request.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I like to be, like Herman, short and sweet with you today. Yes, sir. So on some capital requests, you'll notice that we have a couple of needs that we are looking forward to doing over the next year. One is the T-ball fields. They're in need of some restructuring, some regrading, and probably resodding. So we are looking at adding some money there to get the T-ball fields restructured, redone. Moving on, we have a couple of mowers that are on their last legs, and we need to replace a couple of mowers. And as you notice, they're expensive. Those finishing mowers are very expensive, but we are asking for 2 new mowers. Okay, so I did ask for an upgrade of the reception office at Rock Creek. We're going to take that one out. Just omit that one. Chris Cole and Randy from facilities they just decided to go ahead and get on that for us right now, and are using some recycled material. So they do a fantastic job of saving the county money, and this is an example of that. So we're going to take that one out. And we're going to come back to that one last. Let's see. As you know, we are in the process of a new gym at Rock Creek, on site at Rock Creek. With that, we will be needing some additional parking, and we have designated a place that is beside the maintenance shop that we can put some additional parking there. And we've tried to allocate some money to do that, just to go ahead and get ahead of the curve when that new building comes on board. We will need some additional parking.
In reference to that.
Yep.
I know we'll look at, the bids and stuff in reference to that later on this year, but that'd be more than a year project, correct? So that may be a next summer. You think they'd be able to do it by then? Okay. All right, I was just trying to figure out where that needs to be a 26 or a 27
Right.
request.
And as Joey can attest, depending on how that number comes in, when we're working with them from everything from picking out toilets to everything on this building, when that number comes in, that could be something that we can do out of that particular fund. But we're just trying to go ahead and make sure we're planned ahead of time to get some extra parking.
I was just trying to get it in the right year.
Yes, sir.
How long it would take to do that building.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
does this parking cost include, or does this whole thing include moving that batting cage
Yes.
over? Okay.
Yes. There is an existing batting cage beside that maintenance shop. We're going to be moving that over to the other side of the park, beside the big pavilion.
Go ahead.
And then lastly, it is time to seal, stain, and repair all of the pavilions, actually all of the wooden structures at all of our parks, whether that's the score booths, the pavilions. It's time to seal all of those and maybe get them restained. As you know, we are working through some issues with the new pavilion at Veterans Park. So that may be just taken out of this particular equation, but we are, all of our pavilions are in need of getting some seal and stain.
Have you gotten an update on that?
The update that we have from the contractor who put it in was that they are going to work. Okay, so we are hiring a structural engineer to come in to make sure that it's just that isolated problem.
Right.
And if there's anything else in the structure that is needed, we are outside of warranty. So if they come in and decide that it is a problem that they brought forth, then they will fix it. If they decide that it's just an isolated problem that we may be having to fix.
Okay.
So
And
it's
that's
a
vertical
very,
earth, right?
I'm sorry, yes.
Vertical earth. Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of a fluid situation, but it's one that we are very anxious to get fixed.
Okay.
But it is time to seal and stain all of our existing pavilions and wooden structures.
Questions?
Back to the parking thing.
Yes, sir.
I think actually I'd sent an email regarding this as a concern. Why was this not a part of the vote on the Rock Creek Gym as one component to address parking when we approved the gym project? 'Cause
Well,
that seems like it go hand in hand.
Well, we discussed it. We knew that parking was going to be an issue, and we took look at that particular time. We decided that it was going to be more just on our responsibility to make sure that we are not overloading programs on particular nights. For example, we would never have a huge basketball tournament at the same time when we would have regular huge activities going on in the park. When we started looking at that, we did realize that we would need some more parking, and that's when we decided to go ahead and look at this area beside the gym. It was not addressed, however, when we did the scope of work on the bidding out the project.
And we're still waiting on those bids.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good enough. Other questions?
How much do we have in impact fees right now? You can get that to me later. Thank you.
We're initially looking at what, $5 or $6 million for this, Jim?
Right at
I think it was,
6.
right,
Yes, sir.
was close to that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I'm quite sure that number's going to come in right at it. We're working every other day. We're working on something with this company, and they are extremely excited and positive that they're going to get us that number right at where we want it.
All right. Tell us a little bit about your day-to-day operation. Anything in particular you want to bring up to the board?
Yes, sir. I would like to bring up a couple of things just for your notes. On the main budget, as you remember, we have really 4 different budgets throughout the Park and Rec. We have the main Parks and Recreation budget. We have the pool budget. We have the War Hill budget, which is isolated. And then we have just what's called the Lake Parks budget. If you'll remember, those other 3 lake parks are they are on a different type of lease than the War Hill is. So it has its own side budget. So going to the main budget, which is 6120. That's the account number 6120. There are some increases in property repairs and maintenance. Things are just going up, and we are just doing a whole lot more with what we need. So we are asking for a little bit more there. A little bit more in equipment rental. Dues and fees, we are asking for quite a bit more in dues and fees, and that is just because we're doing a whole lot more in the realm of wrestling and track. And each one of those, you have to pay a due every time you go to those meets. So our dues and fees have definitely went up. And then contract labor, gosh, every year we have to add more sports officials. So we're asking for a little bit of an increase there. That's the very last line item. Ward Hill Park, nothing major really jumps
Hold
out.
on, sorry, Matt. Quick question.
Yes.
On that first page.
Yep.
I see where salary's going down like 70,000, but group insurance is going up 27,000, and then Medicare's going up. Or retirement contribution, Medicare's going down. Why would salary be going down?
I'm going to defer to finance on that one.
Yes, we can verify again, but those are based on the current approved positions.
Okay.
I'll just check it out again to make sure we didn't miss anything in there.
Yeah, I mean, but we're not losing an employee, right?
No,
No. Okay.
even if the position's vacant, we budget for it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then the group insurance and retirement are based on the current elections. I feel like across multiple departments, you'll see that a lot more people are utilizing
Okay.
retirement. So
Thank you.
Mhm. So on War Hill budget, it's pretty much the same as it's been for the last couple of years, as is the lake parks. There's nothing really that's going to jump out at you. Just a little bit of an increase in property repairs and maintenance. Our guys do a fantastic job of working with the bare minimums over at the lakes. I'm looking at the.
What's the income on the lake stuff now? Because aren't we collecting fees on that?
I should have brought that number to you, but it has been quite significant. Do you have those?
That's helping offset some of this, I would assume. Is that fund, is that going to general fund when we receive that?
Yeah.
You can get it back later.
I have it right here. So far through the end of August, we brought in just over $18,000 in revenue.
That's the kiosks and rental, I guess, for the pavilion.
Correct. That's everything under Lake
Okay.
Park.
Oh, no,
Yes.
that's lifeguards. So that
Okay.
may be closer. See right here.
The only other thing that really is going to jump out at you probably would be the pool budget. Let's see. Pool budget is 6124. So, asking for a little bit of an increase in the lifeguard and concession workers. And probably need to work with HR, as we discussed earlier, about renaming some of that, because we end up using some of those kids for some of our nighttime work when we are just really have a ton of people in the park. We ended up using a lot of those kids. So that number this year is going to be a little bit higher, but they are such a valuable resource when we are really flooded at the park. So asking for a little bit of increase right there.
Are we doing our own concessions, or are we still contracting?
We still contract that out. Yes, sir.
Also, are we contracting the pool cleaning still?
Yes.
Okay. Now, where is that budget?
That budget is, it comes out of the property repairs and maintenance for the pool budget, 6124, that 17,000.
Got
That goes directly basically to that contract.
Gotcha.
And the salary increase, it's double, from 30,000 to 60,000, correct?
Well, yeah, but I think we finally come to a recommended number of 38,000. So about an 8 to 10,000.
So that was my question. Are you good with that recommendation, or will that change based on your discussion with HR?
Can I interject here? The
Please.
38,000, the recommendation is based on the current trends.
Current trend.
Right.
So,
So is it 60,000?
60,000 is his request to utilize some of those lifeguards other times of the year, I guess in the
Mhm.
summer too, when they're busy at the other parks and they need nighttime help. So,
But if he talks with HR and gets some of the, when you say talk to HR, you're talking about getting like title changes, job description changes.
Possibly.
If that happens, will that recommended potentially increase with duties added? I guess is my question.
yes. if
Okay.
you
That would be,
approve-
That'd be up to us.
Right, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying that recommendation could change because
Yes,
the
that does
increase
not
would go up.
include that
Okay.
change yet.
Okay, perfect.
But are you fine with the 38,000 or do you want the 60,000?
Oh, I want 60.
Okay, when are you going to be talking with HR about this so that we could?
Very
Soon?
soon.
Okay.
Very, very soon.
Make sure we get all that information.
Yeah.
before
Sure
we
will.
get to the end.
Right.
Okay.
But they
Anything
are an
else?
invaluable resource for us. Those kids are great.
Are you asking for more people or
No,
more
sir.
increase?
Just
Pay
just-
increase.
Just no, not pay increase, just more hours,
Hours.
Working
We have to
hours.
do a pay
working
increase.
hours.
It wouldn't be a pay increase. It's
Well,
just more
we-
hours worked.
It's just working hours.
We still have to do a pay increase because of the ACH thing. Where's HR? That thing we've been talking about.
Yeah.
The health insurance thing, and that
Oh,
has to go up. So there's an expense related to that too at the same
okay.
time.
I have one more question
Please.
on the very first budget.
Yes.
Okay, this is probably for finance. I see where we're adding for the first time 15,000 for community
Ah,
events.
Great point. I meant to say.
And there's no recommendation either. So I just
Okay.
wanted to,
We, yeah, for the last several years, Buffy has really struggled to provide out of our existing budget for what she does. And those are events such as Breakfast with Santa, the Halloween, the trunk or treat. We do a lot of epic stuff out of this. So we, as a recommendation through finance, we created a different line item
yeah.
that is strictly for those special events.
Okay.
And that's, so I don't know why we don't have a trend, right? We don't have a trend.
We don't normally,
Right.
anything that's brand new, they never put a dollar
Okay.
amount in
I
it.
didn't know that. So I wanted to make sure.
So
But yes, ma'am, that's
But I
good.
know those events are huge.
That's a great catch because I forgot about
there'll
that.
be
We are
others you'll
asking
see
for
that there's blanks.
Okay.
Yeah, we are asking for a brand new line item there to cover those big movies in the park. She does 3 or 4 a year, and those are getting more expensive, and it's
Yeah.
hard
No,
for
I
her
know it's needed. I just didn't know why there wasn't a recommendation. I
Yes.
didn't know that it would be
Gotcha.
blank, but that makes sense based on
great
trends.
eye. I'm meant to say that.
Other questions for Matt? Thanks, Matt.
Let me just say how much Natalie and her team are awesome. They make it so incredibly easy for us, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, next up, we have Emergency Services, Chief Lease. Chief, if you will, start with your personnel requests and follow that with your capital, please, before we get into the budget.
Sure. Morning, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman. Might as well just rip the Band-Aid off of this right now. So this year, we've struggled over the last few years with staffing, and we got to a point a few months ago where we're fully staffed. And not only are we fully staffed, but we have applications continually to come in, both in paramedic and EMT.
Good thing. That's a good problem.
That's a very good problem to have. We're at a point call-wise where we're running our ambulances ragged, and I'm requesting this year 3 additional firefighter paramedics and 3 additional firefighter EMTs. And with those positions, we would staff a 5th med unit and run them out of Station 3 on Harmony Church. Go ahead.
That 5th med unit, we have it, correct?
Correct. Yeah, basically all we need is personnel and a few
That's what I
minor
thought. I just want to make sure.
tools. Yes. Having that 2nd med unit down in the 400 corridor is going to take a lot of strain off of the other med units in the county running down to the 400 corridor, which is going to help a little bit on our wear and tear on our vehicles and our personnel. Our Station 2 down there, that ambulance is pretty much gone all the time. And our Station 1 here in Dawsonville has to go down and take the next call, which leaves Dawsonville then uncovered. So I'm respectfully requesting those 6 positions. Any questions on those before I move on to the other one?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'd also like to request another fire inspector. Right now, with all the development and remodels and houses being built, the inspections are they can't keep up with their current inspections. And it's not just the initial inspections. A lot of these are requiring, they'll go out and do an inspection, and they'll have to go back a lot of times multiple times. So one business or one entity is taking up time of one inspector multiple times over a period of time. So
They have 2.
correct. Well, we have the deputy fire marshal and then an inspector. Yes. That
Chris,
additional,
Are we still using an outside source as well?
we're using an outside source for plan check.
Plan check.
Yes. Any questions? Okay. You said you wanted to go to capital after? All right, capital requests. My number one need is our mobile data terminals, the computers that are in all our vehicles that we receive the CAD dispatch through and we communicate with dispatch through. They all need to be replaced. Microsoft is discontinuing supporting Windows 10. And with that, we will no longer, next month, we'll no longer be able to get security updates for the computers, which are required for us to run CAD. The computers are so old that they will not take Windows 11. We can't just like load Windows 11 into them because they won't take them. So, man, I've worked with IT about this, requested, information through them, and this is what they suggested that we're going to have to do is replace them all. So that $175,000 cost is for all of the computers and for all the mounting hardware that'll come with them. And those should service probably 8 to 10 years, I would imagine. Second request is for station furnishings and exercise equipment. A lot of our stations, a lot of our furniture that we have in there are secondhand, hand-me-downs, things that people bring in from home. Same thing with the exercise equipment. Recreation was kind enough to give us a bunch of exercise equipment, but even that had been used quite a bit. We did have one employee earlier in the year sit down in a chair and the chair broke. He fell and hit his elbow on a table, and he was out for several months with a fairly significant injury over something that probably should have never happened. I'd also like to get some lockers. There's a couple of the stations that don't have lockers for personal gear, especially with the addition of the additional personnel that we've hired over the last few months. We've got crews that are stuffing their bedding and stuff into garbage bags and stuff and storing them under the bed. So I'd like to get them something in the station to be able to store that stuff. Third item is the Firefly Extinguisher Training Simulator. What this is, and I attached, I think you guys have the flyers for them. This is an automated system to teach fire extinguisher use. And this is great for the general public and for kids. We can take this into school because there's no active fire. You're basically using a screen. You use a fire extinguisher that feels, operates, does everything the same, except it doesn't expel the powder. You aim it at the screen. It's a digital thing. It puts the fire out that's on the screen. Very safe, very controlled. And it's had great success all over the country. So we have applied for the last 2 years. We've applied for grants for this multiple times, and we just have never received them. So that's why I'm asking now for those. The last one is HVAC system replacement for Station 1. The current system we have now is 22 years old. It's a heat pump system. It's pretty inefficient. I've been told the difference between a new updated system and our current system, the cost to run it is going to be a lot less expensive and it's going to be more efficient. Right now, we're really struggling with, one part of the building will be really hot, the other one will be cold, and we've had facilities in to try to work with it, and they've done a great job trying to isolate it. But the system, they said it's meant to be about 15 to 20 years in service life, and it's at 22 years, and it really needs to be replaced. Any questions on any of those?
Questions? Anything you want to highlight in your budget?
Just a few
line items?
Yeah, just a few things. Per Commissioner Bruce's request earlier in the year, I've asked for or added and asked for $75,000 to do the standards of cover. That'll be up to the board whether they decide they want to move forward with that. Under small equipment in fire, 3,500, I'm asking for an additional roughly $10,000 to buy a color copier, a large color copier for Station 1. Currently, all of our offices we all have our standalone printers in our offices, and the ink is extremely expensive that we're continually having to replace. Um, Under public education supplies in 3501, I'm asking for about a $1,200 a year increase for supplies. Our community service officer is doing a lot of events, community events, a lot more community events, a lot more CPR classes, and it requires, supplies. And every time he goes out to an event, we have to make sure we have, the fire helmets and stickers and coloring sheets for the kids and whatnot.
Is that a separate budget?
Yeah, that's under,
That was my fault.
I don't have
We
that.
missed that one.
yeah,
Um,
it's in 3501.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
but yeah, I'll give it to you tomorrow. Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's small. It's not that big.
Yeah. And then under 3630, off official administrative, that's a fairly significant increase, but that's per finance. That's the trend. And what that is our billing company. We're running more calls, we're billing more, we're collecting more, which is requiring them to get more. So I'm requesting a $30,000 increase per finance per their trend.
Yeah, it was 71 last year. So yeah.
And then medical supplies, again, like last year, I'm asking for an additional $10,000, mainly for cost of increase of stuff. Everything is going up exponentially, and our call volume is going up, so we're using more supplies. So I'm asking for an additional 10,000. We took great pains going over our line item budget, and excluding the copier and the standards of cover, it's less than 1% increase that we're asking for across the board.
I know on the, both in the fire and in the EMS budget, the CAT education training program that we instituted, and obviously that's a year-to-year thing. And is that going well?
It's going very well. It's going extremely well.
And so how are we coming in reference to the number of people we've got that have took all the training that this money was supposed to pay for, number-wise? And do we still?
Chief Urban administers that
I know
program, so he'd have.
that has been a year-to-year thing that the board has approved, so we need to talk about that a little bit.
How are y'all?
Good.
We've had quite a few complete the program. We have actually several in class this week. They're going tier by tier, completing the program. Our lieutenants, we've had all but 2 of our new lieutenants complete the program. It's been a success. We've done interviews with HR on the personnel that's completed, and they're getting true education, true leadership values out of this program.
So my question is, I know we've done 15,000 a year last year, 15,000 each last year in fire and EMS. Do we need that same number, being we've got some that are done, or what's your thoughts?
We could probably reduce it to 10 to 12, because that not only covers, we moved a significant amount of money out of that CAT program into salaries. So that 15,000 in each category was left over for supplies, because we need to buy, if we're doing
Right.
EMS stuff, we need to buy supplies. If we're doing fire stuff, we need to buy plywood, stuff like that. So
Look at that and let me know.
okay.
Okay. Or let Joey know and he can let me know.
Yep.
Joey know. All right.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? No real big changes to your EMA budget, so.
No.
All right.
I do have a question, actually.
Okay.
I see a new position for emergency management E911 director, but you didn't go over that.
That is
I believe that's going to be the county manager.
going to be accounting.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was just under emergency services.
Really no other place to put it
Yeah, that's
at the moment. All right.
All right.
Thanks,
you.
Troy. EMA, let me move on here. Fleet Services, Mr. Shannon, come on up. Shannon, let's start with your capital request as well, bud.
Good morning, Commissioners. Some things that have come up this year, we've noticed our camera system is not currently working at the fleet shop, and we had an incident that happened earlier this year, so we're asking for a $12,500 increase to do a camera system. And it's a good idea too, because we always have police cars and ambulances and stuff like that on premises if somebody were to vandalize or do something to those. And then
And you've got that under property repair.
repairs and maintenance, yeah, which is under our fuel center budget.
Yeah, okay. Does that dollar limit trigger the capital dollar amount?
It's 25,000 is the
Okay,
capital, so
yeah,
he
so-
has it in his regular budget.
He's got it under property maintenance. Okay, fine. That's good. Leave it there. That'll work.
And then in our fleet budget, we're asking for an increase of $12,500 to purchase a new AC recovery machine.
Uh-huh.
We currently have one that does R134, but the newer vehicles we're getting has the 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're currently having to sub that out because we can't just let it out into the environment. And our current machine is on its last leg too. So that would be a nice improvement.
What's our annual expense on subbing it out?
I would estimate that to probably, at this current time, probably around a couple $1,000s.
So ROI on it's about 6 years, 5 years.
And then we were asking in a capital budget for a new drive-on lift.
Uh-huh.
That would be for our ambulances, and if we increase to the 30,000-pound capacity that we're asking for, we can actually do some more bigger vehicles, services on them easier. Right now, the current ambulances, their weight is really taxing the current lift that we have. So that's an important item that if I had to ask for one above all the others, that would be it.
Would that allow, do y'all work on all of like Public Works, even the big machinery?
What we can.
Okay. And then what about like the new Bearcat? And it probably hadn't had issues yet. It's new, but would y'all work on something like that if you could?
If we can, that's
Okay.
to be determined at this point. Though.
Would
That's
this
a different-
allow for those, since they're bigger vehicles, would this give it more ease, or is it more of like a,
Oh, yes, if the Bearcat, yeah, that,
okay.
yeah, that's going to be a challenge
In general,
altogether
okay.
to work on. Yes,
Right.
that's different.
I just didn't know if this would help other than just with emergency vehicles. Like could it help with other department vehicles
Oh,
that have
absolutely.
larger?
Some of the
fleet.
public works
Yep.
vehicles we would be able to put on the
Okay.
lift instead of the ground and
It would just help you
things.
out some.
Yes, all around.
Okay.
And well, there's one thing I wanted to discuss from experiences we've been having with EMS. I know he wanted more personnel to go on the ambulances.
Uh-huh.
And just something to put on your radar, we probably need to get on or try to think about getting on a regular rotation of those because it takes about 3 years to get them now. And maybe within a year of a new ambulance, we should probably start looking at ordering a new ambulance.
How many we got coming in this year? Two?
To
And then we got one next year? One's already come this year. We got 2 more to go?
We got another one that's being re-upfitted.
And that's not included in that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, we're redoing the one that was wrecked.
Yes, they're going to do a remount and we're going to get a new cab chassis from the insurance company.
So we just made, the main thing with those vehicles and whether it's ambulance or a fire truck or patrol cars, we got to make sure that works in the SPLOST program.
But
That-
even
That
with,
has to rotate in that.
with the 3 that were coming in, do we have any that are retiring out?
We will.
I know.
We won't keep all of those.
No, I mean,
No, some need to go now.
Now?
yes,
Okay.
But yeah, we're keeping them for spares.
And some of that's changed now, that some of that stuff that was causing all this issue has gotten better. It's not as tight anymore as
Yes.
reference to you can get something now in 12 to 18 months where it used to be 3 years.
My understanding from talking with Chief Least is it's about 3 years still on an ambulance. 2 to 3 years.
Okay. All right. We'll just have to work through that and make it work. Because we don't want to, the problem is, we don't want to get into buying 3 at a time because that just makes 3 go out at the same time. So we want to get into a better rotation of, in a 6-year splosh where we're getting one every year. And that way you get the longevity and they don't all run out at the same time. You got to order all at the same time. So we got to work on that.
If we increase the amount of ambulances we have on the roadway, we obviously will need more personnel as they're requesting now. So. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
If we have more rotate, they won't have to travel as far, correct?
How are you guys working on the fire trucks and stuff now, just from the ground?
Yes, sir.
Crawling under them.
That's absolutely correct.
And Shannon's also provided to you in this report, all of the vehicles. He yellow lined the ones that are either old or mileaged or whatever you want to call it.
Um,
And,
Yeah, to our current system, it has a point system to
Yeah.
determine when a vehicle's ready for replacement. And that's what the yellow lines are. Everything is above the 25 point or higher threshold.
and most of that also is, we look at splosh for our mechanism for
Yes.
that. And we have a certain dollar amount on an annual basis that Shannon kind of works with Joey on in reference to getting where we need to be.
A quick question for you really quick. On these, the ones that are highlighted yellow, I see where like the condition on one is excellent.
Yeah, some of this needs to be revised. We've got to go back in the system and revise it. So
Okay.
it would be even worse when we update it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we're actually, and Michelle's in the process of working on that.
Will you email that to us once it's updated
I sure
so we
can.
can get like a up-to-date accurate view on it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And each one of these, and as you look at those, we have different buckets of money for each one of those. Like when you look at the sheriff, there's a bucket of money in splosh for him. Then when you look at fire department, there's a bucket of money for them. And then the county vehicles are bucket money. It's different. So, they're all in splosh, but it's all in different buckets.
Yeah, I guess I'm just confused. And again, I understand the whole needing to update it thing. when something's due for replacement, but it says it's in excellent condition, and then some say fair.
Well, sometimes, like I say, that it needs to be updated.
No, right.
Sometimes it
But that
just-
was my question before you said that. That's why I was asking.
Okay,
It would have
yes.
been like, hey, why does this need to be replaced if it's in excellent condition? But that makes sense.
Sounds like you need to add a category or two to make it.
Yeah, there's 5
Change.
categories
Yeah.
to it. Yeah, so all the others in the totality have made it
Yeah.
Right.
eligible for replacement.
Update the system a little. Any other questions? Thank you.
Joey, on the computer system that I think Fire was asking about, do we not forecast that as well? Just like we're talking about the vehicles, where we know, Billy and I ran into this when we first took offices. The building was built 10 years before we took office, but nobody had planned on the computer system. And we know that's a reoccurring thing. So I thought we got ahead of, we shouldn't have 8-year-old computers at the fire department that aren't working. Why has that not been in because we've normally budgeted for that stuff?
Now, we did put money into splosh for computer upgrades and stuff. So maybe we take a look at that and see if there's some money to work towards some of that doesn't have to come out of the general fund. And where we're at and what's ITs. See, that goes back to what we talked about too. When, the things that are IT related, we want to be IT related, and for them to be making that recommendation, just like we moved to where vehicles are now made recommendation by Shannon through you. And so that people are not coming to us and say, well, I want the 4-wheel drive, 4-door, something where they don't need that. And so now Shannon makes that recommendation. That saves us money instead of every department coming and saying, okay, because he's got the list. He knows the vehicles that are bad. Everybody wants a new vehicle, obviously, but you're not going to get one because your vehicle's still good. And so let's work on that a little bit as well. Work on that a little bit more. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's fine. I mean, because, some may need that. And we got, like Public Works where they're hauling more than 2 or 3 people to a place. Yes, that's different. But when we know we have somebody, unless in that situation where we got a good deal, when we have one person in that vehicle, and we're not even, because one of the things we talked about and the things that you've done well over the years is, everybody also doesn't need a 4-wheel drive. They never get off the highway. So they don't need a 4-wheel drive vehicle. For years and years, when Chris and I first started, everybody wanted to 4-wheel drive everything. They thought they had to have a 4-wheel drive. It didn't make no difference. And the highest dollar SUV there was known to man, 4-wheel drive. So we changed all that. So that's the reason it goes through Shannon now, because he is the one that takes care of all of them. And I appreciate that. All right. Who's next? DA?
Shannon, it's also good seeing you. I feel like we never get to. You don't ask for anything.
We try to be quiet.
Do your job. Yeah.
That's it. Nose to the grindstone.
There you go. Ain't nothing wrong with that. That means he does a good job of budgeting. He doesn't have to come back and ask. It should be.
Well, the thing is, though, like he said, I think it already is. I just wonder why. Maybe it got overlooked.
I want to say that we have allotted in capital purchases like $250,000 a year for that. Cause it's just like vehicles because they wear out. I mean, we know that there's going to be an expense on IT.
Because we put, what, $3 million in Splosh, I think, for IT.
In my mind, just like fleets, he is an expert at fleets. We want our expert IT to understand and know. He knows all the systems, so he should be managing that and know, all right, in my 5-year capital purchase, I know this amount of computers needs to be replaced in this year, and this amount needs, because each individual department head coming in is very arbitrary where he should be managing that.
I mean, we should be.
Well, and if we're overlapping, if we're approving budgets that are overlapping, that's just
right.
bad spending.
I mean, to me, I mean, if IT knows that that computer system is going to be going out in 2 or 3 years.
Right.
He can go ahead and start doing that instead of coming and saying, hey,
Program it in.
All of them at one time, yeah.
Exactly.
Replaced for.
Exactly.
And I think, if you look at Splosh, I think you'll see that some of that's in there. Because we allocated money for IT in Splosh for updates for computers, our system, and everything else.
Maybe
that's
just
part of it.
verify. We can verify with Herman that
We can
that's.
check on some of that
yeah.
as well. But yeah, we want, and we've talked about that, where we want IT to manage those type things, because for years we had everybody coming in here wanting 3 new computers or this computer or this scanner or whatever.
Right.
And so we're trying to fix that. It's getting there. So,
Chairman, I can, if the board desires, I can go ahead and do county administration. I do have a few items.
go ahead.
We're waiting on.
Go ahead.
Garth to be here.
You're here.
All right.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I don't really have any specific things to highlight in our county administration budget. It's pretty standard year to year, just some very minor adjustments. But I do have one item that's not in this budget, but I want to bring it before the board as an item that we may need to add to the budget if we go forward with this topic. The topic I wanted to talk about and tell you what we've been doing, and really today is seed planning for the next year, is an employee health clinic. As you're aware, our premiums for our health insurance have continued to escalate and are definitely trending upward, and we're looking at some proactive measures that may help us long term. And what we've done thus far is we're currently conducting a feasibility study, a business case to determine a primary care strategy. And this involves an evaluation and an analysis to determine the benefits and risk of an employee clinic, the problems and needs, and most importantly, what is our estimated return on investment, and also to use to come up with some recommendations to go forward. We are using a consultant. It's a very small amount of money they were using to help us to just, again, to do a feasibility study on this employee clinic. And that's what we've been doing this summer. I was hoping to have it finally completed before today, but the study's not quite done. But the early data that we've received from the consultant just last week is very favorable, that there could be some positive savings to Dawson County long-term if we invested in this employee clinic. And it's not all about money either. There are benefits to considering, other benefits to considering an employee clinic, better managed employee health care. We obviously want our employees to have the best health that they can have. If they're healthy, they're better employees and better at home and at work. We can try to reduce some high-risk chronic condition claims. That's one of the things that our insurance broker talked to us about was, where our claims, what was generating our most costs on our claims was some high-risk chronic conditions. Again, that's no employee's fault. It's just a fact of life. You know, you have people that have chronic conditions. We're trying to bend the trend line for our healthcare cost and hopefully stabilize or reduce what our premiums increases are year after year. Currently, just a little history, currently there's about 35% of government entities in the United States that offer employee clinics to their employees. It's also very common in private industry as well for large employers, factories and things like that. Distribution centers often have on-site health clinics. And it's not just for small counties. There's small counties, medium-sized counties. It's not, you know, you think, well, we only have a certain number of employees, it wouldn't work. That's not necessarily true based on what we've seen with others. There are also a number of counties that include occupational health services in their employee clinic. That's something I won't use the word struggle, but there's only so many providers for occupational health in Dawson County. And I'm talking about workers' comp and drug testing and things like that. And we've had to change providers and availability times of the day. It's been a little bit of a struggle over the years. It's possible. It's one of the options is if you have a vendor that provides a employee health clinic, they can also do occupational health as well. So again, just introducing the topic today, we need to finish up this feasibility study. I'm probably going to ask the consultant to come talk to y'all this fall and do a presentation so we can dive into this a little deeper. It is a big decision, not something we would make lightly. The next steps, if we want to do this next year, if we want to keep going forward with this, I will need some funding to keep going in 26. You know, if we decided we want to move forward with this, it's not a decision you make one time. The next steps would be planning, procurement, finding that vendor. There's a number of vendors out there. It's also a number of different models. That's something we have to decide. You know, we want a clinic that has part-time, you know, availability or full-time availability. What all services do we want them to offer? Just a number of decisions that have to be made before you can actually go out to the market and bid it. We also are looking at partnering with, you know, the more people we have, there's power in numbers. The more people we have to serve, the better we can do the financial numbers. I do intend to talk to our city government and some other folks that see if they're interested in partnering with us. And sometimes the model is that the vendor provides a service to us, but they also may have other clients. You know, they may have a client that it's not just solely for Dawson County. It could be for some private entities they contract with as well to make the financial dollars work. Because you're talking about staffing, you would probably have a full-time RN there and probably a part-time doctor there that would be available to provide that primary care service. The money that I may have to come back to you, the funding that I may have to come back to you, I may be requesting, if we go forward, $75,000 next year to look at the implementation, to look at the procurement, which would take several months, take 3 to 6 months to do that. Again, I'm not asking for that today. I'm just kind of letting you know I might come back the first of the year and ask for that money. So we need to go a little bit further before we make this leap, but it's something I would, if the board desires to pursue, we're going to have to take the next steps.
Joey, have you?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Sorry to interrupt. In the very short time that I worked for Forsyth County, they have this, and it was actually right down from where I worked. And they had, I think at the time it was a nurse practitioner instead of a doctor, and then a couple of RNs, and it was ran full time, Monday through Friday. Have you talked to them about? Okay.
I think actually the consultant we're using helped them.
Okay.
They've had a number of clients. I'm not sure who their vendor is. You know, and I know that some of the ones in this area, they've changed vendors. The original vendors, Care Here is one of the vendors. There's a number of companies that that provide this service. The goal is twofold: is healthier employees, better employees, and we have to look at doing something to attempt to control our premium in cost on our health insurance. Look, this again, some of the data the consultant can show you is, some of those savings, and it's basically what you're going to see is the clinic itself can eventually pay for itself, but there's no it's not like, oh, you do this and next year, 2027, we're going to see our health insurance dip. It's a long-term trend line you're trying to control. So our trend line on health insurance now, as y'all have seen, is going up, up, up. We've got at some point stabilized.
Yeah, the one in Forsyth County was heavily used, and I only knew because my office was literally 3 doors down from it. I mean, it was heavily used by the employees. So, I mean, I do think it's at least a good idea looking into it.
I've had 2 previous employers that this service, this benefit was available, and it doesn't take long for the word to get out. It's convenient. If you have an appointment at 9:00, they see you at 9:00. You don't have to wait to get an appointment. There's different things you can do. Again, we have to find out what model we want to do. A lot of them will provide diabetic services. You can get all your insulin there for free. It's part of the package. Again, it's not about saving the employee a few dollars. It's availability of the insulin, the needles, and making sure the employee's taking it to prevent long-term illnesses. Our model probably will not, because I know this question will come up. What about dependent children? That's a different game. Pediatric care is a different game. There are some clinics that offer pediatric care. We probably will not. That's a different level of expense, offering pediatric care, but it certainly would be available for spouses. The question also comes up, well, I'm not on the health insurance. I'm not on that, which I don't take the county health insurance. I'm on my wife's insurance. You can still make this service available to employees that aren't on the county health insurance. There may be a small fee. You may pay a $5 copay or something like that to offset the cost, but it still will be available to all employees. Again, a lot of questions that we have to ask, what do we want to offer? What can we pay for? Usually the biggest obstacle is the facility, where you're going to put it. We do have some opportunities coming up next year that we may be able to facilitate a facility to host the vendor. Again, a lot of unanswered questions. There's an expense. If we go forward with this, we could look at paying that vendor $250,000 to $400,000 a year for this service. So I don't want to gloss it over. This doesn't cost money. It does, and that's why I'm bringing it up today as a seed planting, and I want to come back to this board later this year with some more information.
I have a silly question. Do you have to use a vendor, or can you hire a nurse practitioner and nurses on your own?
You can do it on your own.
Okay.
That's one of the models they'll look at. I don't know that we have the expertise for that.
Yeah, maybe not. I didn't know how that worked, if it was even allowable.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you can. You can, and sometimes the clinics transition from a vendor to the county managed over time. Having a vendor, they have the resources, even able to get on the Epic computer, to see the history
Right.
that we wouldn't have. But that's something that part of the model that we will look at.
Okay.
Is it possible to do it yourself?
Okay.
So that is not an option. And I'll move on from that. But again, I just wanted to bring that up because it may be a future budget item I need to bring up mid-year or early in the year. I do have a couple other items quickly. There are some position grade changes requests for 26, and these are department head level changes. That's why I'm bringing them forward. It'd be a little awkward for the department heads to bring their own grade change up to you. So we do have 2 requests, actually 3, I'm sorry. One's a new position. The 2 grade changes would be for changing our fleet director from a grade 21 to a 24, and our facility director from a grade 22 to a 24. it's been a number of years since these grades have been adjusted. We're trying to align them with other similar positions, director level positions. We feel like this is a better fit. HR has looked at this. For the facilities director, who is new in his position, there would be a slight increase to get him to the minimum of the 24, I think $3,100. So those two requests I bring forward, they actually would be embedded in those departments' budgets, but I bring those forward to you. And lastly, there was, Ms. Bruce made a good catch that we are requesting a new position of a new EMA 911 director. This will evolve over time. This position is requested for 6 months, beginning in July. As y'all are aware, the 911 center, EMA center is almost complete, should be completed by the end of September. We should be getting the keys to the building. EMA hopes to move in this fall and go ahead and staffing that building and using our new operations center. We were aware from the very start that relocating 911 could not happen until the Motorola system, radio system, was complete. And that is a massive project. Probably will next summer, late summer actually, we'll be able to relocate the dispatch 911 to the new building. I know they're anxious to get in, but we can't put them over there until we get the radio system finished. Again, we knew this from the start that the timing was not going to line up. It was a chicken and an egg type thing. But discussions have been taking place about now maybe the time to reorganize and recalibrate and create a new department, essentially, a whole brand new department that 911 and EMA would be under. EMA has been done as a shared position with the fire chief over the years, done a good job. But as we continue to grow, it's time, there's so much more we can do in EMA. If we have this position, we certainly feel like now is the time to dedicate full-time resources to that. And also to recalibrate and reorganize a little bit on 911. Our staff over at 911, which is currently under the sheriff's department, does a great job, super job, especially with the limited facilities they're in currently. But again, it's great timing to look at a reorganization. And this request is to have someone run that department with some of the existing staff. And once again, this would be funded for 6 months. Yeah. We should be by next summer ready to launch this new department. And that's all I have, sir.
Questions? Any other questions? Thank you. All right, so we'll move on to our district attorney, Mr. Dara. Come on up.
Good morning, everybody.
Will you start out, if you don't mind, starting out with your reclassification request?
Sure. This is for Deb Deerwent. We're asking that she be reclassified from law assistant to executive law assistant. And we're asking that she be changed to grade 21. The base salary for that is the $60,942. She makes more than that, of course. But it recognizes a level of oversight because she does supervise actions of other staff members and would relate to the expectations of an executive law assistant position. So we're not asking for, there's no need, according to Ms. Finley, for added budget at this time. And so we're asking that she be changed to grade 21 so that she might have opportunity for future merit and longevity increases. I don't know how long Deb's going to be with us, and I'd hate that if she does retire. But of course, her salary would be, when we rehire for that position after she does, it would revert to a lower amount. So that's our I guess our major request in our budget. If you have any questions about that, I do have some others.
Go ahead.
We have a new ADA that y'all had awarded us, shall we say, And so we asked for a $500 increase for ADA bar dues, for state and local bar dues. That was from 2,000 to 2,500. Just a $500 increase due to cost of ink we're asking for. $1,000 increase for LexisNexis, that's our research facility, ADA license fee increase. And Thompson Law Library books annual increase. So that's $1,000 there. We're requesting $450 for 3 new printers and $200 for a new monitor for Deb. And a $2,500 request for 2 desktop computers for legal admins to fund GCICs, Georgia Crime Information Center, documents. So, I mean, nothing earth shattering in our budget request, I don't think this year. Those are the things that we're asking for.
Do y'all
specifically.
currently do the GCIC yourself internally?
Yeah, we are we not?
I know y'all used to, but I didn't know if y'all.
I think that we are. I don't think it's reverted back to the sheriff's office. We needed more access from more people.
Yeah.
And that's why we're asking for that increase there.
So they'd have to take that training for that. Yeah. Okay.
Do you have any other questions of me?
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Richard with Community Development. Come on up. All right, we'll take about a 5-minute break right quick, and then Richard can come on up. We ready? All right, go ahead, Richard.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Commissioners. So the first item is related to personnel in the Community Development Department, kind of overflow of 2025 reclassifying a vacant position to become a full-time animal control officer, which is not part of this request for 2026. But as part of that 2025 request, it is an animal control officer and an intern to make intergov improvements. And that intern for a 6-month period would extend into 2026. So this is a request to fund a portion of that intern for early 2026.
You know the dollar amount for that, the number of hours that you're asking for? I know it's $15 an hour, but how many hours a week are they going to work as an intern?
I have, you want me to help? Sorry. I looked it up right before you came. It's a total of 360 hours at $15 an hour. So the total cost was $5,400. I don't know. You said over approximately 4 to 6 months, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Can I ask another question real quick regarding this?
Uh-huh.
There is a request for equipment on there, about $2,100 for equipment for this interim position. Do you think that would be covered in the 25 portion if approved, or would you need that as part of your 26 request?
It'd be something where we've got some equipment from the recent intern that we used. And so, yeah, we may be able to handle it. I don't anticipate a significant increase really in for this particular intern, because we do, in a good way, try to reach out through ACCG and other sources to have ongoing interns just about every year. So I don't think there'll be a significant increase.
Okay. I just want to make sure that you either approved it all or not. So thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Richard, just so I understand. Okay, this intern will be for 2025. So not being requested into 26 budget,
We'll start in,
but with 2025 budget, not 26 budget, or will it be used both?
So I'm in both.
Okay,
So if you approve it, it'll be on the next voting session tomorrow.
We're talking about it now, yeah.
right.
But even if they are hiring for 6 months, if they bring them on now, they're not going to have enough. So,
It would be like a month or so into.
right, into
Okay,
26.
but the bulk of it is 2025. If we, okay, got it.
Correct. Sorry.
yeah, in terms of, the hiring process and posting it and trying to get a college intern, it would not be this month. So at the earliest, the person would start in October, maybe even November. So it would be at least half the time in 2026, maybe 2 months in 2025, 4 months in 2026 is what's proposed here. But, we don't know the exact date of start date.
Sure. I just forget we're in September.
Sure. In terms of the 3351, because we are still keeping with the, although one department having the way to account for the finances for 3351, which is code compliance, former marshal, and then 7410 for planning and development. For 3351, there is no 3351 separate line item for licenses. So within technical services, there's an increase due to an increase in service fees, additional licensing, and we've got a new administrative assistant that came on board in 2025 and a new animal control officer proposed to start later this year. And so this is accounting for increases in that. In terms of vehicle R&M, with the addition of a new animal control officer in terms of reclassification, that is really kind of the biggest need in terms of equipment, is having that person have sanitary and safe truck equipment for the animals for transport. So we've essentially got a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. And the plan A is a chassis mount unit for full-size long bed trucks with cab to axle measurement that's essentially a superior, safe, sanitary way of transporting the animals that is taking an existing truck and outfitting it with something that we're already soon to outfit our existing animal control truck. We've got our existing animal control truck having a slide in, which has not worked very well. It's adequate in the sense that we can keep the animals reasonably safe and reasonably sanitary, but we're really looking for excellence in quality in terms of how we treat the animals in terms of transport and other matters. So really, our existing animal control officer, Seth, has a truck with a slide-in that's not working very well. We're going to switch that to a better chassis mount unit. And so that's the plan A proposed for our new animal control officer, to have a similar chassis mount unit. And with that new person would drive an existing county vehicle, existing county truck, but that truck, which has low mileage, would be outfitted with this same chassis mount unit. Thus, the proposed increased cost of $24,500 to account for that. And that information was obtained by fleet staff on behalf of for Jackson Creek Manufacturing as a reliable, previously used company. That's really what, our plan A would be. Our plan B, because although, plan C could be, well, what about the current slide in and just shifting it? The current slide in has not been effective, has not been superior in providing quality standards for care and transport of our animals. So the plan B would be a temporary fix, $4,000 temporary camper top. That's what our existing code compliance officer, Madison, she does code compliance primarily, but she's fully cross-trained. She's very well knowledgeable about animal control matters. So very often she has to transport animals. So with her code compliance truck, she has a camper top, and we got information from Shannon with Fleet Services that to temporarily outfit an existing truck with a camper top would be estimated at $4,000. So that would be the plan B for 2026, and then potentially revisit the plan A for a chassis mount unit. And then the plan C would be to just reuse the current slide in. But once we go that route, even though the cost is lower, it's a permanent installation. And so we've already found with the existing track record that current slide in is not adequate. So if we reuse it, so be it. But again, that's our plan C. That's really what's not proposed. That's not the most appropriate for the best quality care of the animals. So again, you've got, plan A, which is the $24,500, plan B, $4,000 temporary camper top, and revisit in future years the chassis mount unit. And then plan C, just use, kind of recycle our current slide in. With telephone, there is an increase based on the additional animal control staff and the field officer's need for phone services. Even without the new animal control officer, the existing staff have used, as of August, are on track to use all or possibly more of the 2025 allocation. So there's some increase proposed for telephone, and this is all again in 3351. For advertising, there's a decrease because of lack of usage in that level that's budgeted. Printing and binding requests an increase. Again, the Division of Code Compliance was not fully staffed the first half of the year, but even so, it is on track as of August to spend all or almost all of the 2025 allocation. In addition, the new animal control officer would use additional funds. Travel, similar, paying for fees, additional training. We've got more staffing So we're looking at spring and fall for a fully staffed division to attend various trainings of GACE, the code enforcement group. We've also got our alcohol administrator for GABTO, the business licenses, the tax officials group, and really keeping staff appraised of changes in Georgia state law about alcohol, short-term rentals, code enforcement, and so much more is really why the significant increase is requested for travel. For general supplies and materials, that's an increase. Again, the division has not been fully staffed first half of the year. Even so, it is on track as of August to spend all of the allocated $4,500. So it's proposed increase to $6,000. That new animal control officer, when he or she comes on board, will also use additional funds. Similar with the gasoline, diesel, oil for 3351, an increase is based on usage when the new animal control officer has been hired and will be in the field driving each day. Going to move on to 7410, the former planning and development. In terms of technical services, we've got a proposed large increase based on usage. The Tyler Technology Intergov is our largest annual expenditure. In 2025, staff has worked to maximize it. And so we've taken traditional services where people submitted hard copy documents or similar for, let's say, land disturbance permits, subdividing land for minor plats, for major plats. There have been those and more just in 2025 that we've transitioned to, on the customer side, the customer service portal, the CSS portal, and then on the staff side, the Intergov processing and review. And so essentially with this proposed increase, it would put us on track for our utilization projection for the contract for 2026. And that would be at approximately 73.5. And then in addition to that, staff requests a $20,000 amount for consulting support from Tyler Tech to upgrade and maximize the services. And so that staff can, on an ongoing basis, really maximize and better utilize Intergov. We do also have the, some might argue, somewhat competing proposal for intern as a quick fix alternative. And that will be kind of a, shot in the arm to give us a stimulation and increase what we do, but for ongoing, that's why we also propose the $20,000. So again, if we have to cut anything, we understand the $20,000 is an optional thing that we're proposing as consulting, but in terms of the request to increase to 73.5, that's something where it's based on the projections for the contract for usage. So if it's not that amount, then it's going to be a concern in terms of financing. For vehicle R&M, the request is an increase based on additional vehicle added and increase in cost. For telephone, there is an increase requested, additional staff and services added in 2025, cell phones, iPad, things like that. Advertising, there is a small increase requested. This is for a variety of cases: zoning variances, special use, appeals, zoning condition amendments. And in 2025, we've seen an increase and a greater variety in cases. Like we've got one that's going to come up in a couple of months that you'll see where it's not rezoning, but just amending zoning conditions. And we've had an unusual one this year about an appeal. So it's a combination of increase and a change in variety of types of cases. And also, of course, we're exiting the moratorium as of the end of September. In terms of travel, requesting an increase with increase in staff, and the department overall has made it a goal to prioritize continuing education to improve staff knowledge, skills, and abilities to become subject matter experts. And this continuing education training includes the zoning administrators group, GAZA, the licensing group, GABTO, the building officials group, BOAG, and then the Planning and Zoning Association, GPA, Georgia Planning Association. So all of the travel and training that we do as community development is work to stay in state. We understand that other departments may have a need if there's something so unusual or unique, but in terms of community development, we really try to minimize the cost and always stay in state where possible. Dues and fees, there's an increase, and we've got a variety of dues for the code compliance group, ICC, GPA, the planning group, the building officials, BOAG, GAZA, the zoning administrators, the licensing, GABTO, NEGIA, NFPA. We've got several, and then also as sort of a cost of doing business, as we transition into being a full in-house provider of plan review services for land disturbance permit, which we really think will help our citizens cut down on time, where instead of like right now with a co-review, we're reviewing it, state staff in Athens is reviewing plans. It's a significant increase in time. Previously, there was some increase in time, 2024, 2023, where it was the federal folks had to get involved and review it with NRCS, part of USDA, and that's gone away. But as we transition to full in-house memorandum of agreement, which you'll see in the work session tomorrow, and then future voting, as we work to be able to issue land disturbance permits based on all in-house review, there is an annual fee for administrative support that the local Soil and Water Conservation District has requested, and that is $1,700. So that is a new fee included under dues and fees. We've got our Planning Commission Chairman, Jason Hamby. He's a member of the Soil and Water Conservation District. So we've discussed this matter with the administration and Mr. Hamby, and so we do request that. Education and training, similar request and increase. General supplies and materials, request an increase based on increased number of staff with various items. Similar with gasoline, diesel, oil, and then small equipment is actually proposed to decrease. So I apologize, there's a typo. It says increase, but small equipment is decreased. Computers and peripherals is increase in terms of laptops. And then uniforms, a small proposed increase to outfit our increased staff and really have a professional look, as well as promote safety. And so, we want to think in terms of boots and any other items that may be, similar to the folks with public works, roads type operations, for our guys that are inspectors in the field, make sure that they are safe at all times.
Okay. Questions for Richard?
I have a quick question for finance. If I missed this, let me know. On page 2 of 7410, the very bottom, he requested more for computers and peripherals.
So that is typically not something that we fund every year. It's on a case-by-case basis. So if you approve for him to purchase new computers, then you would add the funding in there.
Okay.
These are outside what we talked about earlier, IT's replacement plan. So this is something additional.
Additional. Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Other questions?
One of the things, it's not really just applicable to this, but when we talk about cell phone usage and everything, we have a master plan. Each department has to manage that within themselves, but we have a master contract with cell phone provider, I assume, or is there a way to streamline that maybe through IT versus?
IT handles it right now.
Okay,
So
but the requests are coming through, this is not the first one, the requests are coming through the department heads.
Yes. So if they want to add an additional line for an employee, then they're adding it as their request.
Okay.
But all that cost and adding the line would go through IT. Approved.
But it goes through their budget. They're
Right.
yeah.
It is allocated. Yes.
But IT is managing it. Same thing with printer and everything. That's the same. Everybody's got the printing part.
Correct.
Anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Farm up to about 6 million.
Now it's your turn, Ted. Come on up, bud.
Good timing, what?
Good time.
You know, everybody probably says I'm an oddball anyway, but I'm probably the only person here that's not coming to ask for an increase. But I did want to address the board about a couple of things. I think it's important that you all know what's going on, and I keep everybody informed. Just a FYI, in 2025, our call volume and increase in caseload is up 19% for the year. We're about almost 8 weeks ahead of where we were at this same count last year. So we've been pretty busy. The reason that I wanted to address the board today doesn't really have anything to do with this year. Some of you may be aware, I know Billy is because he has made phone calls for me. For the past 6, 7 years, I do all of the legislative work for the Coroners Association. And I've been working on a salary bill in the state of Georgia, how coroners are paid and what they're paid is all over the charts. Some county commissions, like the one that I'm addressing now, I'm very fortunate. You all understand what we do. I've never come before you that I did not make a request that wasn't justified. But some of the coroners in the state are a little bit more like a bull in a china shop than I tend to be, and they don't get the respect from their commission boards that my office gets. And so we're trying to level the playing field across the state. And hopefully, Will Wade is carrying the bill in the House. It's already been voted on in the House 3 times, and the most dissenting votes it got at any one vote was 4. So it's overwhelmingly a majority of the House members. Senator Gooch is going to carry the bill in the Senate this year. We're going to drop it on day 1. And the problem has been, we have the votes in the Senate to pass this bill. We just can't get it to the floor. And it boils down, believe it or not, to 1 senator. And I have been meeting with the ACCG this summer. I have been meeting with members of the legislature, and we're trying to all get on the same page to prevent that from happening in this upcoming term. But should it not happen, then I'm going to come back to you next year and talk to you about setting some starting salaries, not for me, not for my current deputies, but for whoever comes behind me. This is more than likely my last term, and I've been here since 1991. And the way that the structure is right now, it could be a little helter-skelter. And I will tell you that the legislation that we are proposing is modeled after what's happening here in Dawson County, because it just sets a great example for the state. The only thing that will probably be different is the way that the deputy coroners are addressed, because you know, whether you like it or whether you don't, a coroner and the deputy coroners are employees of the county. But not all commission boards see it that way. Some of them are paid as supplemental employees. Some of them are paid in every way you could possibly imagine. And there's some coroners in some counties not very far from here that are not really treated fairly either. And but if we can't get this bill passed, I'm going to come to you next year and ask that we set a minimum starting salary for the coroner that comes behind me. But I will tell you, it's a cost savings to the county because of my longevity. It would not even be the amount that you all currently pay me, and it's simply because I've been here for so many years. So even if I come to you and ask you to address it, it's not going to be asking for more money for the salary part. I'll have to take a look at it between now and the end of the year. We may need to retweak some of the fees that are paid for removals, crime lab trips, and things of that nature. And I don't know how to address one situation. I'll get with Billy or Chris or some of you, and we'll sit down and talk about this a little bit. But we do a lot of travel that we're never paid or reimbursed for. Wesley is here with me today. He is one of my deputy coroners, and he has made multiple trips, some of them fairly long, Villa Rica, Atlanta. And it's when we run into situations, this is just one example of needing DNA samples. And Wesley will travel to wherever that individual is. We'll do a swab, and then we'll deliver that to GBI. And sometimes it takes a half a day and a lot of miles, and those kinds of things are just not addressed in that budget. I don't know if it would be a situation where we keep up with the mileage or whether we per trip, but if we take a body to the crime lab, we charge you for one trip to the crime lab, but we may make multiple trips, especially if the medical examiners come back and ask us for admission blood or medical records that we have to subpoena. Then we have to pick those records up at whatever hospital or doctor's office that might be. The admission blood we subpoena, we pick up at the hospitals, and then we have to take those to GBI. So we need to give that a little bit of thought. But the second reason I wanted to come and address you is just to say thank you to you, because you all have been very kind to the coroner's office here. You understand how we work. You understand. I personally worked a case this Monday, and it's about as distasteful as you could possibly imagine. And I won't go into any details, but we do things that no other people do for this county. But we try to do it with dignity. We try to do it with respect for not only the deceased, but their families, and not looking for any pats on the back, but I think we do a pretty good job. So that's kind of where we stand. Those are the things that I wanted to talk to you about, and that's why I ask, even though I'm not coming and asking for any changes in the budget part that I can control this year. I just wanted to speak to you, talk to you a little bit about the future, and talk to you a little bit about exactly what's going on within the department and the increase in the caseload. I'll tell you one thing that has absolutely been a blessing was the additional deputy you gave me last year. That has turned into an absolute godsend. We actually can have a little bit of a life now and a day off over a holiday weekend. So, but I'll entertain any questions you might have, but those are the things that I just wanted to bring up and bring to your attention. I appreciate the people in the finance department, how well that they help me. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that they help equally. So any questions?
Questions for Ted?
Appreciate I think I say this every year, but just appreciate the way that you run the department and run your operations. And yours is probably the easiest request out of this whole process every year. So thank you for being efficient and using taxpayer dollars wisely. And,
Well,
it helps.
I did some research before I met with the legislators a few months ago, and I did it for all size counties, the smallest of the counties, some of the largest of the counties like Cherokee, and then a lot of the mid-sized counties. And when you look at the coroner's office budget, and you can go to any county you want to go to and take a look at it, even Cherokee, the budget for the coroner's office in those counties, when you look at the general budget, now I'm not talking about splash money and all those, I'm just talking about general budget. The coroner's office is less than 0.5%. And it's that way statewide, even in the larger counties. But that doesn't mean they're not necessarily compensated fairly, because you got to look, Cherokee County, there's a lot of money in Cherokee County, and they treat their coroner fairly over there. But it's still a fraction of the budget that you all look at every year. But I appreciate that very much. Anything else?
Any more questions? Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
Ms. Dawn, Senior Services.
The coroner was more interested than me. Thank you. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, friends. Thank you for allowing me to come to you today. My budget is pretty simple. The only salary that we have in our budget is for our nurse. Everything else is included in our grants, such as our transit and all of our staff at the senior center. So the only salary that is actually included in that is the one of our nurse. I think we share that position with 2 people up to 28 hours per week. They're there 4 days a week. So all of that stayed the same. Our first item that we have that we increased was based on conversations with facilities and things we need to change at the center for the next year. And you should have quotes in your packets for all of those. The first one is the AC unit, and Rick from facilities is our go-to person for that with them. And he gave us a quote, and then I think he asked us to add 10%. And that was for a carrier, and that was for a unit to go in the Weaver building. So that's really maintenance, because we know how old that building is over there. The second quote was for an ice machine that we got a bid. Randy, I think, got us this bid for our ice machine over there is probably 20 years old. It has been worked on and worked on for all these years, and you can't find parts for it anymore. They have tried to piece it together as much as they can. So we use that large ice machine over there when we take food out every day to put in our coolers for our milks. Today we have peaches that were in little cups, anything like that. And if there is an event going on that anybody needs big bulk ice, they come and get it from us. Or if the Parks machine was to break or something like that, they can come get it up there. But we do use it daily. So we have had to buy some ice, or we have had to go and we've bought some of those things that go in the coolers that you put in the freezer, and then just pack them out every day and put them back in the freezer. That's the quote on that. We may be able to get a cheaper ice machine. We just never know when the time comes. And then the third item, Chris Scott from facilities. I know it says James's name on there, but Chris was the one I think that got this report. And it is to do the cleaning, pressure washing of the Ivy building, which is our new building. We just don't want it to get any shape or form. And we're structurally sound, I think, according to the engineers that came out and looked at our new building as far as our awning and things like that. And the All About Painting that facilities use, they did say that it really needs done every 5 years. And this October was 5 years that we moved into it. Needs done every 5 years, and it needs a solution on it to kill the mold or whatever, sanded where it needs to be, and sealed. If we do that every 5 years, that it should be taken care of and last us a long time. Let's see, the next item that we have is we're in agreement. Finance worked with us to increase our dues, and that is exactly the cost of all of our dues. We have been borrowing from other sections at the end because we still had money that had to be paid for out of that fund. The next one we had was general supplies and materials. We had budgeted $9,500 last year. I'm sure we probably went over and had to take some from some other general fund to make ends meet, but all of our toilet paper, paper towels, everything has increased because, of course, we have more clients. We are trying to do away with some of our paper towels, and we have bought some hand dryers off of Amazon for like $100, and our seniors do not like them, but we've installed one in each of our bathrooms there, and we're eventually going to install and take those out of our bathrooms because there's so much waste with the towels. So if there is a consideration, we would like to get that increase to $10,450. The other energy cost, as far as water, natural gas, and electricity, we took the last 6 months of last year, the first 6 months of this year that we were able to calculate, just divide it by 12. That's where we got our numbers from. I think the only one that wasn't changed was natural gas, and they're all electricity is probably the one that's going to fluctuate the most. And we all know that. I know when I came in this morning and walked in the memory care room, I was like, it's 75 degrees in there. And I don't know if you're having trouble at home, but mine keeps cutting on and off. And I know it's to do with the weather probably, or it's to do with my contractor that put in my new unit. And sometimes it's just not adjusting right. It was stifling in there, and I cut it down to 72. The seniors were even hot, which doesn't happen often. So that would be probably the electricity that would go up. And it all depends on what type of winter we have and summer. Food, we continue to see an increase in food. So what we normally budget for and actually spend, we usually have to borrow from another category, and we increase that by 10% because our seniors want to do more. They want to have more. So we are doing week after next the luau that we do every year that they look so forward to. They are actually going on a field trip today to No Longer Bound because it's Wisdom Wednesday and they get 25% off. So they're going to find their luau shirts. And then after I leave this meeting, I know it's a little too much, but I'm going to Food Line to pick up chicken breasts to cook because they're on sale for $1.99 and to use for the luau. So I try to pitch as much money as I can, but we are always wanting to do more, and we still have a Christmas party, Halloween party. We try to do something for Thanksgiving, so it's just costing us a lot more to entertain the seniors. We are enjoying our new food vendor, though, that we switched over with July 1st. Gasoline and everything, we think we're okay. Small equipment, we had asked for $2,000 because my department does not have any laptops. We did buy one this year for transit and was able to pay for it out of transit fund, but we have no laptops. We just come to the office and work on the weekends if we need to. So I would like to purchase 2 laptops that we have that if we need, I don't even have one at home. I work off of my iPad if I need to for my emails and stuff. But no, it's a Kindle. I bought one about 4 years ago, but I work off of it for my emails. But two of us really need a laptop at home to be able to do anything like that. If you're out for a week and have any questions, or if you go on vacation, to take it to us to work. So the last ones we bought were, that one that we bought this year was $800. So we would like to get that in there so we could purchase two of those. The only thing as far as our general budget, I did put in 2 position personnel review requests. One has already been increased some, and that was for my 4 transit drivers. I'm still trying to get them up at least another notch from an 8 to a 9, with a little bit higher of a salary. This last time, I think it took me about 4 months to hire somebody. And really, there was basically one applicant. You never know how long somebody's going to stay, but we would like to get that increased and brought up to what some of the other grade and employees make, and such as facilities maintenance and transfer station. And the good thing about this is it's grant funded, and probably 75% of their paycheck comes from the 2 revenue sources. So the county's not out a lot money, but I do appreciate HR and our county manager for giving us the increase that we got. But I think if somebody was to leave, we're going to have to go back like we did and cut rides. That's the only way we can do it. It's just very, very hard to get somebody to come to work for, $15 an hour. And I just want to like to see that increase to what some of the other salaries are in that range. And of course, at the same time, we would need to adjust the other 3 for merit and longevity. And then the other PPRR form is for one that, for an employee that I think I've came before you every year for the last 5 years to try to get an increase. She's been employing me, 2 months will be 14 years. And this would be in line, giving her a 5% increase and have her exempt, because if she's off, she's constantly getting emails and texts from me as far as budget stuff and anything like that. Currently graded, I believe, a 13. And what she does, she is a manager, and I'd like to see her title requested change to a 16, because right now she is at the top of her maximum. So she's over where she should be in the pay scale. I'm guessing most department has a manager when their director's out or whatever. And I'm once again just asking for this change to be made. And then the only other one I have is a small budget for silver sneakers. And when I left, I think there were 30-something people in the class this morning for the 10 o'clock class. And they have not, they received a raise 2 years ago. They get paid for the class $30. And I was going to increase them to 10%. And I think this is around 5 or 6% on the recommended. And that is something that I can work with. And the buildings were took out of our budget in the other budget, but that is definitely something that, I can work with, and I think they'll be fine. The people, the instructors that teach these classes, they're retired, and there's a lot of times our nurse is there, and our instructor is out on vacation, and she fills in. And when she fills in, she's getting paid a nurse's salary, and she's just doing us a favor, which is a lesser salary, but she doesn't mind it whatsoever. And, I think we can work with a 5% increase, and they would be satisfied with that. My only concern is we have an instructor for the last 10 years that has been volunteering and doing our swimming class, and I'm not sure how much longer she's going to be able to do that, which is only 6 weeks, and we can make it work, or we could try, to raise some of the funds. But we have about 20 people that does that class. And that's all I have. I'm open to any questions you may have.
Questions for Dawn? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Y'all want a break?
Yeah, I think we have like 45 minutes, right?
What time was the magistrate set for?
12, I think, right?
Yeah, we told both of them if they can come early.
Okay. All right, so we will take a break while we wait.
Good morning, everybody. It's already been a long morning, just like it has been for y'all. It has been for me. Court is rocking and rolling like everybody's business, so we're moving along. Go over a couple of things with you, just on the main budget request items, just so that it's kind of, again, stated and clear. The difference between the 6,000 and the 5,000 for administrative services, that's our interpreter budget. So we have really no control over that. We have seen a little bit of a decrease this year compared to last year. So we may not need all of that 6,000 requests. 5,000 may be pretty right. I think that a lot of that has to do with the current immigration standpoint that the federal government is doing. So we've seen a pretty big decrease in our need for interpreter-based cases as compared to 2024. So I'm fine with the $5,000 as recommended on that one. On the technical services, that 24,500 versus the 4,000 recommended, that's the, again, new build costs for the software upgrade that we approved in 2024. So all of that would be fully requested. We have not had to spend any of it from this particular year, so there should be a lot of it coming back to the county because the upgrade took so long to get implemented that we didn't have any actual service costs for most of 2024. So that's there, but I would actually request the 24,500 for that. The telephone, go ahead.
So that's going to be an annual cost
That will be our annual
for that service?
for those two services, for case management and for warrants. Yes, sir. About $12,000 of it is warrant-based services, and the rest of it is the case management. The only other one I think that I have that was really a major difference was the telephone services, 5,750 versus the recommended 4,000. Again, we had, as a part of the warrant upgrade, we had to get new mobile hotspots so that we had a whitelisted IP address to access the warrant system for our judges. So the 4 hotspots at $40 a month for 2 years contract, that's just adding in onto that cell phone bill. So that's just that additional cost for the next year. So I would ask that that be included as well. As far as the remaining of the budget goes, as recommended, it's fine with me. One thing that I had mentioned to Commissioner Bruce yesterday that I kind of wanted to bring to everybody's attention, and I asked for support on. I have spoken with Representative Will Wade about submitting a local legislation for next session relative to adding a additional filing fee for magistrate court. So any case that gets filed in magistrate court, they pay an additional fee, and it's a technology fee to kind of help offset a lot of that $24,000 a year technology portion. I'm recommending and going to seek a $10 filing fee per civil case, per county ordinance case. I think that is probably fairly likely. It was just approved last session in local legislation for Habersham County. So I don't see that there should be any issues with it. A lot of counties are doing it. For example, Lumpkin County has had it for several years. Theirs is currently set at $5. I think that $10 is more reasonable based on the current cost of everything and how expensive our system is. Based upon our current case counts and projections, that's a possibility of about $13,000 in revenue for magistrate court to be able to work on IT and any sort of computer services that we need so that we're not constantly coming to the commissioners for capital improvements for new computers or things like that. The way that Habersham has it working is it is a magistrate held account and controlled account. And then it has a sunset, usually about 10, 15 years. And any money left in that account at that particular time would revert to the general fund for the commission. So there's a possibility that, if we don't use all of the money in there, we can, have a stockpile of, $60,000, $70,000 after 10 years or should be a lot more than that. But should be almost 100 $130,000. We should be able to have a nice little stockpile that comes into the general fund at the end of it, because we'll use it judiciously to make sure that we're just spending it restricted on IT services for magistrate court. The only other thing that we may do with it, just to be completely abundantly clear, is use some of that money to, again, pay down in that $24,000 portion if we have some sort of unforeseen thing with interpreters or something like that that comes up and we need to move some money around in a particular way. That would just add a little bit of a cushion for us so that we're not having to come back to the commission for a budget increase or anything else like that when it's necessary. Like I said, it's been very well taken by the General Assembly. A lot of the counties that are doing it are very happy with it. And so Representative Wade is already on tap to get it pre-filed for us. And so the only thing that I would be asking is for your support should it pass and need a letter of approval from for the governor's office for signature. That would be my only request there. Do you have any questions about that particular issue?
I guess on that, I mean, it's not something that's part of the budget cycle this year, but.
No, I just didn't want you to be blindsided by by it getting filed or anything.
But you're asking for the 24,500 for the new technology services, but moving forward, if you did get that in place,
I would still
reduce.
I would still ask probably for the 24 with the understanding. My general idea for it is probably to put all of it every single year into that. The problem that I have is that I can't guarantee my case count and that filing fee amount. So I would probably still always ask for the 24,000 and then push forward, a good chunk of it or all of it into that account every single year so that it takes care of it. The only time that we may use additional is, for like additional computers when ours die or, different little tiny things like that we'll need to do every now and again. I can already tell you that we have, I think, 2 or 3 of our judge computers that will need to be replaced probably in the next 6 to 12 months anyway. So we currently have an idea of being able to fund that currently with our budget as is. So we should be fine there. I wouldn't expect to be able to get the full $13,000 next year because it would probably be a July 1 initiation date on that. So we probably only have about 6 months worth of collections on it in 2026 if it passes.
Can it only be used towards technology since that's the
It's very
fees?
restrictive.
Okay.
It is very, very restrictive
Okay.
that it has to be used for court technology purposes, whether it's computers. It can be used for subscription fees. It can be used for all that kind of stuff. But it just allows us to be able to use that money judiciously for IT services related to our case management.
Other questions for that? Okay.
Okay. Again, as far as I haven't, Commissioner Bruce and I spoke at length yesterday about some of my other budget submittals. So I'm not going to worry about speaking about those particular issues today unless there's any questions about my concerns.
I am going to bring 2 up.
Okay, perfect.
That we talked about yesterday. So he had in here some confusion over Judge Tarnaki's pay and Judge
General.
How do you say it?
General.
General. Okay. I did get some clarification.
Okay, good.
So Judge Tarnaki, I know your concern was that he was supposed to be getting this $56,012.32. That is what he is making.
Okay, he is making
He
that.
is making
Okay.
that, and essentially what that is, he was making the 55,668, which would have been the difference that you were concerned about.
Uh-huh.
That like $343 or
Right.
something. So he was making the 55,668.59. That was with the COLA.
Okay.
But what put him up to the 56,0112.32 is his 4th term went into effect. So he is making that
Okay.
amount. I know your concern was he wasn't making it. That is his salary.
All right,
Yep.
perfect. I just it was a little confusing
Yeah,
in all
yeah,
the
yeah.
emails. So I just
Mhm.
wanted to clarify and make sure where his
No, for sure.
starting point was.
And then Amanda's, her calculation was she was at that 49,299.01.
Mhm.
And with the COLA, she did move up to the 51,270.97. So she is currently making that.
Okay. I think that my concern with that was and it may be my math. I mean, again, I'm from South Georgia, so you know, we're not the best at math. I obviously went into law for a reason, but I was getting that even with the COLA from the state last year, that 4% or $3,000 cap, which was weird and crazy how they implemented that. I was coming up with the 49,000 as the salary with that COLA included.
No,
but
so
if we're all in the agreement that it's the 51,270, then
that is
I'm
correct.
perfectly fine with it. I
Yeah.
just
So
wanted to make
essentially,
sure.
her 2024 salary was 49,299.01.
Right.
And that was with everything calculated, and then plus that 4% up to a cap of 3,000.
Right.
Put her at 51,270.97.
Okay.
So that is what she's making. Do you want their breakdowns?
I believe that I received them
Okay.
from Miss Finley
Okay.
last night. I haven't looked at them yet.
Okay.
But I will look at them.
Yeah.
and
So
everything,
that
but
is
I
that is what they are currently both making.
Okay,
And that's
perfect.
accurate.
All right.
The
If that's where we are on both of those, then I'm good with both of those.
Okay, perfect. And I haven't had a chance to meet with all the commissioners. I've met with one. I'll continue, like I said, till next week. But I did want to bring up we had talked about that $1,815 supplement that Judge Tarnacki was receiving.
Yes.
Okay, I need y'all to listen to this because I just got this information. So Judge Tarnacki was receiving that when you took over preterm, you got the full amount.
Yes.
So the issue is you're saying that you're still receiving that.
I am.
And you are.
Currently.
It's $1,815 and it is a performance supplement.
Correct.
So it was giving to Tony based on his performance, not to the position itself. But neither was longevity. That is personal.
It followed him from his position as an associate judge to his position as chief magistrate.
Correct. So here's the only issue, and this would be something the board has to vote on, so it won't be decided today. Basically, you're receiving it. He is not.
Correct.
He should still be receiving it because it is his performance supplement. So essentially, the board would have to vote for you both to receive it or for us to take it from you and give it to Tony.
Correct.
So that's just something we need to keep in mind moving forward. And that'll have to be voted on in a separate thing. But I wanted to give you an update on that you, as you knew, you were receiving it.
Yes.
Tony is not. And we have to decide on how that needs to pan out.
Right. And because I think that last year when we had budget hearings, I think I brought it up even at that particular point in time. I think it may have gotten lost in a lot of the communication last year. So
Christy was under the impression you were both receiving it, I think, until we went and looked at it.
Yes.
And you are and he is not.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that was my concern, to be honest with you, last year with it, because I knew that I was getting it and he was not, and I wasn't seeing it in his particular calculations. That's why I brought it up last year.
Yeah.
So we can discuss how that's going to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfectly fine with that.
And I just got that information in break, so I didn't share earlier. Okay.
So unless there's anything that the board wants to discuss related to my other two budget submittals related to myself and Judge Barger, like I said, I had a very productive conversation with Commissioner Bruce. She understands where I am from on a lot of the things there. And I think that we have a good path forward on a lot of that. And so I don't necessarily have to make any sort of comments today about it unless I'm asked.
My suggestion was to him that I would talk to each of you, kind of go over that. And really, if you guys want to meet with him, I would suggest meeting with him individually and understanding, I guess, the needs or desire there. And then I told him I would give him an update in a week after talking with y'all.
Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
And we wait on Miss Dean,
She should be here soon, right?
I guess.
afternoon. My name is Amanda Dean. I am one of the juvenile court judges that serves Hall in Dawson County, and effective middle of last month or so. Well, no, I guess 2 months ago now, because we're in September. So middle of July, I was named the presiding judge for juvenile court. So I'm here today for the budget presentation. I'll be honest with you, I've never done this before. So y'all please direct me in things you need to know. Yes. Okay, and I will say overall with the budget, when you look at it, most of it remains mostly the same in the past 2 years. There's really the two differences, with the first being the request to reclass what is currently like a judicial assistant position. So that position has been in existence for a number of years, and the reality is the role has grown just to incorporate many more job duties that were not initially kind of a part of the judicial assistant. So that current position really has taken on a lot more kind of office manager roles. As you know, this is our only employee in Dawson County for juvenile court. So they're running the show for juvenile court in Dawson County. The biggest change, though, that has come over this past year has been a result of the billing review process. So prior to just recently, when attorneys turn in their invoices, the review of the invoices, processing was all done by indigent defense. There have been some difficulties in that process. And so starting in February, the process was changed where we had indigent defense and juvenile court both taking on those roles, which led to a lot of confusion and just difficulties for the attorneys. And so now that process has all come in-house to juvenile court. So right now it is still Ms. Caudillo who's doing that for juvenile court. She's responsible for reviewing each and every invoice that's turned in from the attorneys, ensuring compliance with our policies and procedures manual, communicating with attorneys about proposed changes to those bills, and then getting the bills finalized and over to finance for payment. That is a big task that really Rushton came in and did our audit, and one of their recommendations was a billing specialist. So they've envisioned that as being a totally separate employee that would serve this process and ultimately save the county money, because we'll be more attentive to the bills that are coming in. By incorporating that into what is being called, I think finance approved it as the executive judicial assistant, will just allow that role to be done by the one employee still within Dawson County Juvenile Court. So we won't need to hire a separate employee, but we'll be taking on that responsibility of the billing specialist. Any other questions?
So that position serves both Dawson and Hall County?
No, that is, we have a separate employee in Hall County. So the judicial assistant position is only Dawson County.
Yeah,
So-
one here and y'all have one over there.
I'm sorry?
Who is that person here?
Here is Lorena Caudillo.
And historically was my understanding, the invoices were processed through the office in Hall County, and then the judge that was overseeing this whole process was in charge of managing that. Is that correct?
Well, because it's changed, so previously indigent defense handled it 100%. So really all that we saw in juvenile court was just ultimately people getting paid. When we started having the issues, that process changed so that indigent defense was doing a portion of what we call the compliance review, and then internally, Ms. Caudillo was doing an internal review, flagging things that then came to the judge assigned, and then the judge was doing yet a third review before that bill got approved for payment, essentially. So the new process, and it's already started in Hall County, and it went effective September 1 in Dawson, is that indigent defense is kind of taken out of that process. So when the invoices come in from the attorneys, it's just going straight to the Dawson County employee, which is Ms. Caudillo. We have certain flags that invoices get flagged automatically through our JCAT system. But she's reviewing each and every invoice, whether or not it gets a flag. But if it gets a flag, the judge looks at it. But she reviews all the invoices and then ultimately communicates back with the attorneys of, this appears to be duplicative. This does not comply with our policies and procedures. So we're going to cut that, checking court time. That's all done by Ms. Caudillo. The judges are still reviewing. To be completely honest, though, one of the recommendations out of the audit as well was some questions with the ethics of judges looking at people's bills. So ideally, with the billing specialists, they're trained and know what they need to do so that the judges, ultimately, we get final reports and kind of keep an eye on the temperature of what's going on so that we can be in control of kind of who we're appointing and who's in compliance and things like that. But we're not the ones being like, I don't think I don't know about that particular bill. And so that would just be the one position, which again, I'm calling it the billing specialist because that's the label that Rushton put on it. In Hall County, that's being done by our acting court administrator right now for Hall County. And then Ms. Caudillo is doing it here for Dawson.
And then I assume since there's a reduction in job duties from the indigent defense, we will see a reduction in their increase in salaries because they're reducing their.
I can't vouch for what indigent defense will or won't do. I can say on my end from the juvenile court end, I think where you see it on our end is that we have requested a 25% cut to the attorney's time in our budget. So that part is actually decreased.
Yeah, there's. Yeah.
Understood.
I would assume that that's going to be the case.
Well, yes. Yes. But those were really the major changes, the reclass, the reduction in attorney's fees, and then everything else essentially remained the same with a few, computer folks raised their price up $50 a year or so. And so that was added into the budget, as well as the intergovernment was bumped up a little bit just due to what we're currently paying with inflation.
Okay. Any other questions for Judge Dean?
You did great for your first time.
Well, thank you. I'm learning a lot of finance and HR that maybe a year from now I'll feel adequate. But until then, I'm just figuring it out every day.
Start somewhere.
Yeah.
Taking over that role.
Well, thank y'all. Y'all have a good rest of your day.
You too. And with that, we're adjourned.